Certain rare individuals come into the world sensing what is needed, sensing what is possible, attuned to what can be said, shown, dramatized. These rarest of celestial beings, let there be no end to them, please. Welcome every new voice, every new possibility. The finest embodiment of this, in my experience, is Tim Sanford, for whom I have only love and trust. He gives me strength and hope, and that's our job, to give thanks back to those who make things possible. Thank you, dear Tim. You are at the top of my pantheon. May we be able to grant you all you so graciously offered so many. For his extraordinary contribution to the theater, which we anticipate continuing following his tenure at Playwrights Horizons, the judges have awarded this year's Lifetime Achievement Award to Tim Sanford. Bravo.
Hi, I wanted to introduce my speech because I taped it late in May, before the marches for social justice swept across our country and the globe, really. Seems like a completely different time, doesn't it? So, felt like I should just remark upon that and borrow from Alicia Harris's wonderful play. Think of it as what I sent out before it all went down. Thank you. Hello. Hi. I'm going to admit to being a little bit sad to receive this award like this year. I've gone to so many Obies, barely missed any in the last 25 years or so, even when I knew pretty damn sure we weren't winning anything. It's just you're my community. You're my friends and my trusted colleagues. So receiving this award is absolutely the dreamiest dream come true, the highest honor I can imagine. But receiving it like this in a vacuum of streaming media just robs me of the opportunity to share it with all of you. So many of you have had a direct and indirect hand in my life in the theater. I'm so especially grateful to the writers who've won Obies under my watch. Adam Gettle, Janine Tesori, Chris Durang, David Kale, Kirsten Childs, David Greenspan, Craig Lucas, Lynn Nottage, Annie Baker twice, Kirsten Greenwich, Lisa D'Amour, Robert O'Hara, Lucas Nath, Claire Barron, Michael R. Jackson, and Will Arbery. Looking at these writers together might beg the question, what do they have in common besides being so cool? I've always dug getting Obies because I think it validates one of my primary objectives to bring uptown and downtown theater together at Playwrights Horizons. But in point of fact, this cohort of 17 Obie winning writers does not differ so radically from the other 133 writers or so that I've produced. As Proust said, beware, there are as many original styles as there are artists. What is he talking about? Why do we care about style? Style is a reflection of the unity of form and content. We care a lot about content these days, rightly so. The politics of representation commands us to ask ourselves, whose stories are we telling? But the content of our stories alone does not make them art. The artist shapes the content of their story through their particular point of view and through the way they tell their story. Again, Proust said it. Through art alone do we emerge from ourselves to see the universe through someone else's eyes. Let's hammer away at that connectivity of art a bit. Playwrights Horizon does not have a house style. We care about the originality and the artfulness of the writer. We do not hold up any particular writer just because of what demographic they belong to. We lift them up because of the originality of their voice. So the unpredictable eclecticism of our seasons is actually a reflection of aesthetic philosophy, an aesthetic philosophy that is also a moral philosophy. An aesthetics of individualism embraces the truth that form is the gateway to content. It is the gateway to beauty. It is the gateway to feeling. The duality of form and content is like the duality of wave and particle in quantum physics. We cannot divide the two. Both light and art depend on the paradoxical unity of its components. I believe in duality. That's different from the binary. We don't like binary, I suppose, because it limits us. It reduces us to this or that, either or. And maybe because also binaries are the digits of computer language. But here's the thing, without dualities, without opposites, without dialectics, we have no theater. I took acting classes with a great teacher, writer, casting director, Michael Shurtleff. And he taught that every scene begins with the central question, what am I fighting for? And once you figure that out, ask, what's the opposite? That's also true. And then the paramount commandment, where's the love? Find the love. Love gives the scene its stakes. Do you want an example? Let's look at the song Periodically from A Strange Loop. Usher's mother calls him on his birthday after one of the most humiliating, painful evenings of his life. We feel the enormity of her love for him and of his need for that love and affirmation. But as the song progresses, she of course cannot restrain herself because she does, after all, love him from trying to save him from sin. And that, of course, just feeds his self-loathing. Every scene is a love scene, and therefore every scene is dangerous. I have a story about Bruce Norris. He acted in Christopher Kyle's Plunge, my second year as artistic director. We've been friends a long time. I'd invite him to opening nights. I think after Keith Bunin play, after the opening night, he said to me, I get it now. You believe in redemption. And I was aghast. He'd thrown down the gauntlet. I wanted to say, no, I don't. So I produced this play the next year, The Pain and the Itch, one of the most provocative, seemingly loveless, caustic plays I've ever produced. But I maintain what made that play great was its humanness. You never met a cast of characters as convinced of their own virtuousness as The Pain and the Itch. Nor, I think, could you find a cast of characters, save maybe in The Duchess of Malfi, as naked in their venality. But they were human. That's the bottom line. After a performance at a talkback for the flick, Annie Baker, answering a question, once said, theater is the art form best equipped to explore ambivalence. Shurtleff would always tell actors in scene study classes, add, don't subtract, always add. Human beings are complicated. So here we are today. When the pandemic first hit, I thought, now here is an opportunity. Maybe as we all stare at death in the face, we will find common purpose and reaffirm what is essential and precious to us. Maybe we will remake society out of this experience, and maybe we will remake theater by being forced to strip away extraneous components and affirm the primacy of human beings at the center of our art. Writer, text, actor, space, audience. But then I turn on the news, and here I am searching for redemption, and there are all these Bruce Norris characters running around, angling for an advantage. And I just get angrier and angrier. You've heard of virtue signaling? Well, for me, it's outrage signaling. Every day I get angrier. God forgive me. As we say in the theater, though, that's a negative choice. So, what's a positive choice? If I was a better singer, I would sing What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding a cappella for you right now, but I'm not, so I won't. I will quote Ingmar Bergman. Epilogue of Fanny and Alexander. Gustav says, the world is a den of thieves and night is falling. The poison affects us all. No one escapes. Therefore, let us be kind, generous, affectionate, and good. It is necessary and not at all shameful to take pleasure in the little world. Go in peace, make beauty.